In Movies and Money, let's find out what's on tap this weekend at the box office with film critic Erik Childress. Hello to you, Erik.
Hi, Angie.
There is an R-rated film that made you laugh.
Well, that's right, Angie, and it's a film we previewed right here in March after the South by Southwest Film Festival, and that film is Good Boys, the latest Seth Rogen production with Jacob Tremblay, who may just be one of the best child actors ever. He was the star of the Oscar-winning Room, as well as the hit Wonder from a few years ago.
But this film is definitely R-rated, even though it stars young actors.
It's actually all very innocent, even if they have the sailor mouths of the kids from South Park. But just as we saw with Superbad many years ago, this film has a real underlying bittersweetness to it, as the boys are on the verge of that age when geography and just growing old also means growing apart. So if this is to be their final adventure together as best friends, they certainly make the most of it. The other boys are wonderfully played by Brady Noon and the scene-stealing Keith L. Williams, who has two quick asides in this movie that nearly made me choke with laughter. Bottom line is that I laughed really hard throughout this entire film, and it would be a great way to end the summer with another original film finding success after a season filled with comic book sequels and remakes.
The Angry Birds are back in theaters.
What we really need is a hero.
Actually, that position's been filled. Oh, yeah!
Erik, you say the studio might be angry after this weekend.
Yes, apparently, studios have not gotten the memo that releasing animated films in August is not a very good prospect with kids going back to school. Now, Sony may think they are the exception, given that the highest opening and grossing animated film in August was Sausage Party, but that was adult-themed in nature and may actually signal more hope for Good Boys this weekend than the Angry Birds movie 2. Now, the first film, despite the usual scrutiny over turning a video game with no story into a movie, was actually a pretty solid hit with over $352 million worldwide. Now, Sony may actually be counting on those international dollars, which bested its domestic total by more than 2-1, because of traditional family-oriented animated picks, only 3 of them have ever grossed more than $50 million with an August release. The Angry Birds 2 may be the exception and not the rule, but we have seen multiple rejections this summer of sequels nobody really asked for, and I believe we will see a similar decline in this film's grosses as well.
With Good Boys and Angry Birds opening, are there any other films that could find an audience?
Well, as with a flooded marketplace, not just this week, but also last week when 5 new wide releases opened, plus the further expansion of The Farewell, audiences will either pick 1, maybe 2 films to lead the pack and more or less ignore the rest, or they will be pretty evenly split. And I think Good Boys may have the best chance to break through and surprise people with its numbers. Angry Birds 2 has a head start going back to this past Tuesday, so that could make its weekend numbers even smaller. As for its challengers this weekend, 47 Meters Down Uncaged is the shark sequel to the modest but forgettable summer success from 2017.
I almost forgot to show you guys what I found this morning.
That's a shark tooth.
Some projections have it opening higher than Good Boys, but I'm wondering how many even know this film exists, and of those who do, how many are willing to double down on a rather lackluster first effort that was originally slated to go to direct-to-video a full year earlier. Now, Where'd You Go, Bernadette, with Cate Blanchett, is the latest film from Richard Linklater, a film that has been delayed multiple times and is actually the first Linklater film since his Bad News Bears remake in 2005 to not debut on the film festival circuit, which is a bit of a red flag given what a darling he has been his entire career there. Then there is Blinded by the Light.
I want to be a writer, but my family is stuck in another century.
Writing isn't a job. I need you to do more.
A Sundance-acclaimed true story of a young man in 1987 who began to discover his voice as a writer after hearing the music of Bruce Springsteen. While this is currently the most acclaimed film of the week, I am very much in the minority as I found this to be a real disappointment. It is a rather by-the-numbers tale that had potential to boost itself through the love of the boss's music, but even when it comes to that, I felt the film was lacking in the kind of energetic spontaneity necessary to make me sit up in my seat and tapping my feet along to the music. Warner Brothers has been doing their best to advertise their rare acquisition from the festival, but if people really want a genuine experience from Sundance this year, I recommend again that they seek out Lulu Wang's The Farewell and tell their family and friends about it.
You really love that film. I'm putting it on the list. Thanks so much, Erik.
Thank you, Angie.
For more Business First AM, check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And go to businessfirstam.com for where to see our show on TV.